Southampton have not adapted to life in the Premier League very well at all, as they currently sit plumb last and 4 points away from safety. Manager Russell Martin has not quite managed to implement his tactics to play the attacking, free-flowing football they played last season in the Championship, and it's certainly looking like it's going to come back to bite them and has looked doomed for instant relegation back down to England's second tier. So today we are looking to turn the worst team in the Premier League into the best team in the Premier League and lift the trophy while looking to develop some of their fantastic youth talent. And there's a lot of that talent in the Southampton side already, whether it's 16-year-old striker Sam Amo Amewe, who is a fantastic young striker, Shay Charles, who is currently out on loan at Sheffield Wednesday, or this season's breakout prospect Tyler Dibbling. They certainly look like they could be set up for the future. But as we can see, they've just not managed to get it going. The tactic we're looking to use today for this first season in the Premier League to get us safety and then eventually build on from there is this 5-back system. And we're going to be using a 5-back system for the whole of this rebuild. So if you're bored of seeing the 4-2-3-1s, the 4-3-3s, this is going to be more difficult. A 5-back is very difficult to master on FM, but if you can do it, you're outrageous. So this is what we're going to be using, and we are looking at a team of course, Ramsdale in goal. We've got back three of Harwood Bellis, Bednarek and Charlie Taylor, which is just not Premier League quality, is it? It's nowhere near Premier League quality, but your wing-backs are pretty decent. Kyle Walker-Peters probably going to end up playing over on that left wing-back position with Yuki Asagawara as the right wing-back position. Absolutely fantastic. And the midfield three is fairly decent. Flynn Downs in DM is upper championship quality. Adam Lallana is an experienced head in there. And of course, Tyler Dibbling in the middle, bringing that creativity, with two up front in Brereton Diaz and Cameron Archer. Now, of course, Southampton in real life play a more wing-based system where they have just two in the middle, one up front, and they play a bit like this. If we try and play that, we'll get absolutely battered. So we are going to go for the more compact 5-3-2 system to just try and stay safe this season and then build from there. We are actually predicted to finish in 18th place in this database, and that's because you've got the likes of Everton and Nottingham Forest having points deducted. Sadly, it's something that can't be taken out of the database. Obviously, that's last season's issue, but it is what it is. It may hopefully give us a helping hand in staying safe for season one. And when unsurprisingly enough, we kicked off season one in actually pretty good form. We had 4 points in August and gained another win in September and went unbeaten for the months of October and November. Sadly though, as we went further and further down, things got worse, and that morale from the Championship, well, it could only carry us for so long. We lost pretty much every single game in March, April and May. But lucky enough, that first half season form carried us into 12th place in the Premier League, and we got the magic 40 points, which is a lot more than I thought we were going to get this season. We even had a positive 1 goal difference, and that's mainly because our defensive ability was fairly decent and we were just about average at scoring goals as well. Our goal scorers this season were surprisingly enough Adam Armstrong and Ben Brereton Diaz, both grabbing 18 and 16 goals respectively, which is absolutely fantastic. Sadly, Cameron Archer was absolutely useless. He scored 1 goal, ended up getting replaced by Adam Armstrong pretty quickly in the starting lineup. Howard Bellis was decent in the back. Will Smallbone also played a bunch of games in midfield as well. And that's sadly because, and I don't lock players in for rebuilds, so it keeps a more realistic rotation going. Tyler Dibbling just didn't play many games at all. He started just 1 game, played 3 off the bench, and hasn't really progressed in the slightest. I am going to break my rules, and for next season, I'm going to lock him into one of the midfield positions because I want to see if we can progress him. I don't know how to do it, but as you can see from season 1, I don't know how to do it. But going forward, for next season only, I'm going to lock him in and try and unlock that 4-star potential. And I could easily go out there and replace him as well because the board have given us a grand total of £65 million to spend, which is absolutely crazy money. And to be honest, Southampton just have absolutely crazy money. A season of safety in the Premier League, we're up to £135 million in our overall balance in terms of debts and loans. Effectively nothing, just a little bit of transfer debt. So we are set up to be a dominant team in years to come. We just need to rebuild them correctly, bring in some young players and really just sort the system out. Now, the first piece of business I wanted to do was bring in loan signing Noel Buck from New England. He has a loan deal here at Southampton from there and a potential buy of 5.75 million. He played 18 games for us last season in the league and in the cup and was very impressive. I've signed him. I've sent him out on loan to his parent club of New England, where hopefully he's going to get some very good game time. He has 5-star potential, and for just 5.75 million, we can't really turn that down. Next up, we head to Celtic and take their Japanese striker, Daisen Maeda, to come in and potentially be our star number 9. The reason I've got him is he is electric quick. Adam Armstrong has just grabbed 18 goals in this system. He's not that quick. Daisen Maeda, 19 acceleration, 19 pace. He is absolutely ridiculously quick. His finishing ability and composure shouldn't matter too much. He should be good enough to carry us there. At Celtic last season, he got up to 7.18 average rating. I'm hoping to see some good things from him. And I'm looking to see some good things as well from Joachim Andersen, who joins us for just £20 million, as he's just been sold by Fulham because they've been relegated. An absolute bargain fee of 20 million brings in a star-level Premier League centre-back. This guy is fantastic. He has great ball-playing ability, great speed, great defensive attributes. He's determined. He's extremely consistent. He loves big matches, and it's an absolute superstar signing. And after them 2 signings, we headed down to the Championship to see if we can find some of the best players from the 2nd Division, and we managed to do that. We found Hayden Hackney from Middlesbrough, who, due to English tax, we paid just over £22.5 million for, but he's someone that I think can be a star midfielder for us in years to come. And second up is Josh Sargent, signed from Norwich, someone that, if Daisen Maeda isn't quite performing at the highest level, can come into that striker position and grab us some goals. Much better in front of goal, a little bit slower, a bit of more of a bigger striker, but again keeps that consistency and that love of big matches. And all that combines to make this team we have got right here, and it looks a little bit odd with a left wing back in there who we've not seen just yet, Samuel Edozie. I'm going to be training him into a left wing back because he actually has some pretty decent stats for it. His defensive attributes are okay. 8 marking, 10 tackling, 6 heading, I don't need him to do. Simply marking and tackling is great. Dribbling and crossing is great. Speed is great. And his defensive attributes are pretty much there. I think as a left wing back on attack, purely there to get forwards, get balls into the box, he could be absolutely fantastic. So I'm going to train him and lock him into the left wing back position. And the same goes for Tyler Dibbling in here as well. We've got Will Smallbone next to him in midfield, with Flynn Downs in that central defence midfield position, Walker Peters at right wing back, and the 3 centre backs are now Harwood Bellis, Bednarek and Anderson. Better improved from last season. Still not perfect, but we're getting there. In goal is Ramsdale, and up front, Armstrong and Daisen Maeda, which means our backups are pretty strong. Burton Diaz and Sargent come in as our backup strikers. Matthias Fernandes, Shay Charles and Hayden Hackney are our 3 backup midfielders, all young and very good. Ryan Manning and Sugawara are our 2 backup wing-backs, with Charlie Taylor and Ronnie Edwards as our backup centre-backs. I think we're in a much better position this season. The only risk we've got is bringing in 2 youth academy players to hopefully do some wonders. And we didn't mention the cup competitions last season because they were much the same as this season. We got knocked out in the 4th round against Forest in the Carabao, and got knocked out in a slender 2-1 loss against Liverpool in the FA Cup 4th round. And well, to be honest, this season didn't quite go to plan. We finished 16th. Yes, 16th on 38 points with a negative 10 goal difference. It's safe to say our signings haven't quite worked, and maybe we need to move away from this system. And also it's safe to say maybe the youngsters haven't quite worked. Well, especially one of them. And it's the one I didn't want not to work. Tyler Dibbling has not progressed. In fact, he has regressed, playing a bunch of games in the Premier League for Southampton. He played 43, grabbed just 3 goals, got 6 assists. And that is the Tyler Dibbling experiment done. However, the same can't be said for Samuel Edozie, who had a pretty damn good season. 5 goals, 3 assists, a 6.88 average rating. He is now a fully fledged attacking wingback. 4 caps for England, in fact, and a goal. And he's progressing really well, and it's very exciting to see. And well, to be honest, just as a whole, it wasn't a great season. Our signings hadn't really worked out, as Daisen Maeda didn't score a single goal and hardly played. He's being dominated by Burton Diaz and Adam Armstrong, so something's clearly going wrong. Josh Sargent was decent. He has definitely progressed. He scored a few goals when needed off the bench, but overall, we just weren't very good. The midfield didn't work. Will Smallbone didn't exactly progress as much as I want him to. We're just shipping too many goals as well. If you look at the data hub, not enough not being conceded and not scoring enough. It's time for a tactical change into a different 5-back system and to get some new players involved. Again, though, the board are mental. £80 million to spend. we have to be doing better. And my first signing for this season is cover star Anthony. I know what you're thinking. Kempi, you've lost your head. A little bit. But I'm looking for wingers, and Anthony from Manchester United for just £9.25 million seems way too good to turn down. He has literally had a season in this rebuild at United, playing 31 games, grabbing a 7 average rating. Last season, he hardly played. We're going to get Anthony firing, and we're going to make him that dangerous winger we all know he could be. Next up was to improve the defence, and my first signing there was Matty Viti. My second was Ute, signed from RC Lens. And my third was the bargain signing of Radu Dragusin from Tottenham Hotspur for just £25.5 million. A move that hasn't quite worked out for him after his move from Genoa, who spent an extra £2 million. He's now 2 years progressed and looks fantastic. And he's great. And our final defensive signing is Felipe Relvas, a left-footed centre-back who's consistent. He likes big matches. He loves a header as well, with 18 heading and 16 jump and reach, and comes in from Sporting Lisbon. We move on to the striker position, and we have signed Don Trugman from Bologna. He is signed for Inter Milan from Maccabi Tel Aviv, loaned out to Bologna, where last season he grabbed 9 goals and a 6.81. We've taken the risk on him, £28 million, simply because I've never signed him before, and he looks absolutely brilliant. Next up is backup left wing back for Samuel Edozie in Nathaniel Brown, signed from Eintracht Frankfurt. And the final signing is Dan Neil, signed from Wolves for £22.5 million. He came through obviously at Sunderland. Now here at Southampton, looks absolutely brilliant as a box-to-box midfielder. And again, keeping that English sort of core of Southampton alive. And you can see that throughout the whole team as well. We have Aaron Ramsdale in goal, and then a very strong back three in front of him of Dragusin, Anderson and Relvas. Absolutely top quality. Right wing back, Yuki Sagawara comes in. Left wing back is Samuel Edozie. Midfield is Neil and Hackney in a Volante deep line playmaker duo, while the front three is Brereton Diaz on the left, Anthony on the right, and Trugman up top. This team is much better than it ever has been before. It has taken 150 million, but I think it looks pretty strong. And well, don't worry, there has been some sales as well. We raised over £57 million this season, plus 40 million last season as well. So it's not like we're just spending money willy-nilly and debt in the club. We are clearing out a lot of dead wood as well. The media are still on our backs though, as we are 450 to 1 and 16th best team in the league this season. I think that's a little bit harsh. I think we're better than the likes of Leeds, Bournemouth, Fulham, Palace, Everton, and then we sort of get to a top 10, which is pretty clear, of West Ham, Brighton, Villa, Newcastle, Spurs. But if we can break into the top half after having a very disappointing last season this year, I'd be very happy with that. And well, it's safe to say I was absolutely blown away this season. To kick things off here, we've got a game against Aston Villa, where you can see Noah Beck finding Hackney to find an absolute screamer into the top corner just 3 minutes in. And Villa pegged us back pretty early on to make the game 1-1. And at this point, you're thinking, why on earth are you showing this game? I'm showing it because we're about to blow away, you know, potential top 5 candidates, Aston Villa 5-1. 5-1. Samuel Edozie scores there to make it 2-1 before half-time, and then we turned it on after our half-time team talk. Relvas knocked it in to Anderson to make it 3-1 in 66 minutes. Trugman then scored from the spot to make it 4-1 in 68 minutes, and in the 86th minute, a Turkman free kick finished the game at 5-1. And that wasn't the only victory we had this season, believe it or not. We were simply fantastic in the second half of this year. An unbeaten January, losing a couple of games in February and the same in March, but finishing off the season with 4 wins in a row in May and losing just 1 game in April. And well, I don't quite know how we've got to this position, but we finished 5th in the table. From last season, 16th, that's absolutely mental and not what I expected in the slightest. We were miles away from the top 4 with Spurs, Arsenal, City, Liverpool, but the fall off of Manchester United, Chelsea, Aston Villa massively helped us. I mean, Newcastle finished 17th and just won the Europa League. So teams fell off massively and we took advantage of it. Finishing in 5th place, 64 points, positive 10 goal difference, 19 wins, 7 draws, 12 losses. In terms of data hub, much better. Scored more goals, conceded less goals than everyone else. And in terms of the squad, I mean, you can see the goals are coming from Trugman, Brereton Diaz, Samuel Edozie in that left wing back role was fantastic, and Sugawara as the right wing back, 9 goals and 14 assists, also absolutely fantastic. And it's safe to say as well, some of our loanees done really well this season. Mateus Fernandez, Sam Ameamoe, both having fantastic seasons out on loan as well. So potentially going to be coming into our team next year. And I'm not looking to make too many other changes, to be honest, because the midfield worked, the defence worked, the wing backs worked. I mean, even Anthony cooked. Anthony, the guy we all mean, 6.61. Yeah, didn't go great this season. It's going to get better. He played 40 games, got 7 goals and 5 assists. I don't know how he's had such a bad average rating there, to be honest. I was about to big him up. Maybe Anthony's a bit of an issue. Well, I'm going to believe in him anyway. And we've got £57 million to spend this summer and 64k spending wage budget, so I better get into it. And once you've had a fantastic season like that, it's hard to really improve the team, and it's hard to not just believe in the lads we've got. So we've only made 3 signings, and number 1 is Nicolas Valentini to come in as a left centre-back, and to be honest, he was just way too cheap and way too good to not pick up. £15 million as a left-footed Argentinian centre-back is an absolute bargain. We then signed Ruben Amorim's favourite midfielder, Daniel Braganza, coming in from Sporting. He is incredibly well-rounded, he is incredibly consistent, and brings us great midfield depth. And finally, it's Marcus Edwards coming in from Arsenal, not from Sporting. A weird move for him as he come through the Spurs academy, but he was there, he hardly played a game, and we signed him for just £9 million. Very similar to the Anthony deal. Hopefully this one turns out just as good. And we're talking about Anthony. I'm trusting him on the right wing, and I'm trusting Edwards on the left wing. Neil and Braganza are going to make up our midfield duo with Edozie Sugawara as our 2 wing backs. Dragutin, Anderson, Valentini, Ramsdale, and Tugman up front. Let's see what we can do this season. Maybe a cup would be nice. There's 0 chance with the Champions League, but keeping top half in the Premier League again would be fantastic. I'd quite like to qualify for the Conference League or the Europa League so we can at least win a European competition in this rebuild as well. Well, sadly, again, it's got to be said, we're just absolutely rubbish in the cup competitions. We lose to Sheffield United in the 4th round, and we got knocked out in the quarterfinals to Arsenal, who went on to the final and lost to Spurs. We've let Spurs get a trophy before us. That's when you know it's gone horribly wrong. But the Champions League, that did go much better than expected. In fact, we were the best team in England and the only English team to qualify in the top 8. And it was actually English opposition we faced in the round of 16, and Daniel found Hayden Hackney to find that man Anthony on that dangerous left foot to make it 1-0 in just 4 minutes. But that was going to be our only game of the tie, as we end up losing the first leg 2-1, and we took them back to St Mary's and lost 2-0. So our Champions League run ends quite abruptly, and we're out in the round of 16. But somehow, we're going to have another chance there next season, as we finish in the top 4 again. I've got no idea what's happening. We are getting some supreme consistency in the league. Back-to-back Champions League places is fantastic. And considering we finished 16th just 2 seasons ago, it's not what I was expecting at all. And I think it's safe to say the system we've built is just absolutely fantastic, and it's working so well. The wing-backs we've got are just getting forward and getting so many goals and assists. The inside forwards we've got are playing a bit like Ruben Amorim's 10s, where they just get inside and link up play. That's why Anthony has got this season 9 goals and 6 assists and a little bit better. And Marcus Edwards off the left has also got 9 goals and 4 assists and still doing fairly decent. We've got our midfield duo of Neil and Braganza, one sitting back, one getting forward, and our striker of Turgman, who this season was just ridiculous. He grabbed 26 goals and got 2 assists and is now worth between 60 and 66 million pounds. And we're in the Champions League again, which just means our finances are going to keep getting better and better. Obviously, after spending loads of money, they come down quite a bit. But the Champions League money, well, it's quite damn nice. Another £60 million to spend and 57k in wage budget. Sticking to buying young players that haven't quite worked out in the Premier League is our current goal. So we've signed Valentin Barco from Brighton. The youngster is signed there from Boca Juniors for £8 million. Into loaned out to Sevilla, has come back to Brighton and hardly played for them. We've picked him up for £28.5 million, and that's because I know we can get Valentin Barco to be one of the best left wing backs in the game. And he's only got 26 caps for Argentina as well, so they clearly believe in him. The next signing I found was Gustav Koldstad-Neinheim from PSG, a youngster they poached from Molde for £2.8 million, and would I sign him for just £5 million? If the talent identification of PSG can find a youngster this good for just 2.8, I'll take the risk of 5 million and see if he can become into a world star for us. Our next signing was brand new left winger Newerton coming in from Shakhtar. Marcus Edwards was decent last season, but I think Newerton on the left wing, Anthony on the right wing could be the move. And our final signing is one for the midfield in Lewis Ferguson. He's been at Bologna now for a couple of seasons, absolutely smashing it. And when in this rebuild, he's carried that on and bringing him back to the UK, this time to Southampton, where he's going to be our star midfielder. The team looks stronger and more dynamic than ever, and age is also certainly on our side. So let's get into season number 5, where I think we can finally challenge for some trophies. And well, for once, we managed to get to a decent place in the FA Cup. This was against Manchester City, and Lewis Ferguson scored in 1 minute and 20 seconds. City then got a red card, and in the 94th minute, we grabbed a second goal from our other brand new midfield signing, Nahim. So we're going to the FA Cup final. And it was Liverpool we faced up in the final, and it was another new signing that got the winning goal in a 1-0 win. It was Newerton cutting in off that left side onto that dangerous right foot, scoring an absolute screamer in off the back post. Unbelievable scenes. We finally win our first trophy of the rebuild. And I'll be honest, it's completely bailed us out, because we were shocking this season. I don't know what is happening with this Southampton team. We are so up and down, topsy-turvy. We finished 11th, 49 points, 1 positive goal difference. We just seem to be a team that when we get on form, we're fantastic. When we don't, we're absolutely awful. Don, again, up front, was our top goal scorer. Anthony grabbed 15. Edozie grabbed 10 again. Lewis Ferguson grabbed 9 and 5 assists. Newerton was good. Barco was great at left wing back as well. And the good thing is that Sam is developing very well out on loan as well. He's had a couple of seasons now where he's gone out to Hull. We brought him back. He didn't do too much. Sent him back to the Championship to Sunderland, and he's been brilliant. So maybe next season he can break into the team as well. We're still obviously trying to develop young players as much as we can. We are Southampton, and they are known for the development of young players. In terms of the development centre, we've only had one guy come through that's that good. It is Christopher Anthony Gasse. Very, very quick, awful finishing ability. So he's not probably going to make it too much. We might even end up selling him. He's wanted by 13 clubs on loan. He's going to have some serious value of 35 million. We could sell him to raise some funds. Transfer-wise, again, we have still got money. We're just looking to, I don't really know, become more consistent. I've never known a team in a rebuild to be so up and down and so unpredictable. So I've gone to the free agent market to bring us in much more depth in the squad. I think what the issue might be is that we have a fantastic starting 11, but as soon as anyone gets injured or as soon as we start to do some rotation, it goes downhill a little bit. So I've signed Oven Tony from Al Ali on a free agent contract. We know he's an absolute bagman in the Premier League. I've gone back to Sporting again because, of course, at the moment I've got a bit of a Sporting obsession with my boy Ruben Amorim. He's come in on a free agent contract. It's Morten Hjulmand, the Danish midfielder, is one of the best players in that Sporting team. And he looks absolutely fantastic and has progressed into such a well-rounded midfielder. Next up is Adrielson, signed from Olympic Lyon, a bit of an experienced backup centre-back. And also Victor Gomez coming in from Braga as a backup right wing-back. I then invested a bit of talent for the future. Number 1 is Lautaro Zabala, coming from Boca Juniors for just 7.5 million. And just look how good he is. And finally, Sharifi coming in from the Grasshoppers, a centre-back with 20 determination, 16 positioning, and outrageous speed. Yes, please. This guy is a brand new wonder kid on the game from the database that I have sort of showed a couple of times on the channel now. If you want to find out how to get that, check out the top 50 wonder kids video. I'll show you exactly how to download it. He's one of these players. My God, is he good. It just means that now our first team looks strong, but so do our backups. We just have so many more options. Dan Neil and Hackney, who qualified us for Champions League football a few years ago, are now rotation options of Ferguson and Hjulmand. Anthony and Newerton, who were two very good wingers, have options of Edwards and Zabala as their backups. Defensively, Dragusin, Andrewson, Valenti have Anderson, Sharifi and Relvas. We're just now a much more well-rounded squad. And that certainly paid off as we had a much better start to the Premier League season. We were much more consistent and not getting that up and down form. And that took us all the way to 5th place in the Premier League, securing Champions League football for the final season yet again. And only 9 points off the title. The Premier League is so tight at the moment. 60 points, 11th place, 74, 1st place. Absolutely mental. The top 10 all getting European football as well. So if we're going to win this title, we're just going to have to be better than everyone else, obviously. But That's not going to be easy. And well, sadly, we didn't exactly defend our FA Cup title. And possibly the most embarrassing thing ever, we lose to Swindon in the 4th round. But we do enjoy ourselves back in a European competition, back in the Europa League. We come top of the league phase on 21 points. In the round of 16, we faced up against Ajax, and in the first leg, away from home, we got a 1-0 victory. And here we are in the home leg, where we are going to absolutely batter them. It's going to end up being 5-0, and we are going to qualify ourselves straight in to the quarterfinals of the Europa League. We faced up against Trabzonspor from Turkey and, of course, absolutely battered them. Before facing KRC Genk in the semi-final, and in the first leg, you can't really get a better start than 53 seconds in, a defensive mistake, and Big Don goes through to make it 1-0. But this game wasn't going to be quite as easy as we maybe hoped. They are going to whip a ball in and make the game 1-1 thanks to Arakradre at the back stick. And it means we're going to come down to where we've got to grab another couple of goals here, and that's exactly what we're going to do. Sugawara finds Anthony in the box to put it into the top corner to make it 2-1, and we are going to make this game 3-1 as well. And in the home leg, it's going to end up being a 2-1 victory. So we're heading to the Europa League final. We're playing against Napoli, where we showed exactly why having the squad depth is so key. Ivan Toney in this game was absolutely fantastic. He grabbed a goal in just 2.5 minutes before Napoli bounced back. Wimmer and Belanova link up on the right-hand side. A defensive mistake. Raspadori gets in behind, and it's 1-1 in just 6 minutes. But we are going to grab a second as Ivan Toney scores from the spot in the 93rd minute. And Southampton are European champions. We win the Europa League. So overall this season, a much better year. We win the Premier League, coming in 5th place. We win the Europa League, which means we qualify for Champions League football. And we're on course to have a much better run in terms of a couple of seasons where we're not going to be absolutely horrendous. Goals-wise, Ivan Toney and Don Turkman shared it this season, which I don't mind, but maybe shows we need another absolute superstar striker. Samuel Edozie is an absolute joke, 26 goal contributions. Anthony with 18, Yukin Sugawara with 20 as well, and Nuerton also grabbing 19 goal contributions is fantastic. The team is much more well developed, and I think now we can make a charge for that Premier League trophy, especially given just how tight it is. So for the big final push, I went mental on free agents again. I brought in Danny Vivian from Al Hilal on 250k a week. I signed Nusart Mazraoui from Manchester United as a backup right wing back. And then we brought in some absolute talent. Number 1, Angelo, who's progressed into one of the best right wingers in football. Number 2 is Arda Güler, who has not progressed into a good player at all, but we're going to try and revive his career. And finally, Desire Dewey, another one who has fantastic potential, but hasn't quite reached them dizzy heights. This season, we are in a ridiculous amount of competitions, whether it's the Super Cup, the Champions League, the Friendly Cup, the European South American Challenge, the Carabao Cup, the FA Cup, the Premier League. We're in absolutely everything. So we've got to have a big squad, which is exactly what we've got. And I think this season, we can do it all. And when exactly what we wanted to happen this season happened, and we became an incredibly consistent side. Unbeaten in August, unbeaten in September, unbeaten in October, the 1 loss in November, the 2 losses in December, the 1 loss in January, and then for the rest of the season, we went on an incredible unbeaten streak, which takes us to the last game of the season. We are 2nd place, 1 point behind Arsenal. You would never guess who were playing last game of the season. It's Southampton versus Arsenal for the Premier League title. And when it comes down to the big day, the day we can win the Premier League, we absolutely turn up. We scored in just 8 minutes thanks to Victor from right back grabbing an early goal. Arsenal are going to make it 1-1. That man Gabriel Martinelli fires a shot on goal and it becomes 1-1. But Southampton, I would never have thought it. A clinical, dangerous team, and we have certainly turned Southampton from the worst team in the Premier League to the best team in the Premier League. As we go 2-1 up thanks to Tugeman. Barco then finds Sharifi opening the box to make it 3-1, and we're going to grab a 4 thanks to Barco, put a corner in, headed in eventually as Sharifi knocks it down to Victor from the edge of the box for 4-1 in Arsenal's big day out. Their chance to win the Premier League, 5-1. Victor to the right-hand side, whips it in. Turgeman is there. Arsenal grab the final goal in the 91st minute. But to be honest, we were already partying. We were already celebrating. Southampton had won the Premier League trophy. It has taken us 7 seasons to go from the worst team in the Premier League to the best team in the Premier League, using a 5-back system, developing our youth, and absolutely smashing it. If you guys have enjoyed this video, make sure you like it, smash that subscribe button, and I'll speak to you next time.